Women never stay hooked on men who give in. They get hooked on men who draw a line and keep it. That is the first rule you must face. You were told that giving more makes you impossible to replace. You were told that pleasing her endlessly builds loyalty. Yet the truth is harsh. The more you give in, the faster she forgets you. The more you erase your standards, the quicker she erases you. Women do not circle around generosity. They circle around gravity. And gravity only appears where a man holds a line that does not move. So the question burns, why does she invest in the man she cannot move while replacing the man who gave her everything? Why does she chase the one who refuses her but throw away the one who never refused at all? The answer is not comfortable. It is not flattering. It does not leave room for excuses. The answer is that the female mind is hooked on boundaries. Her mind does not anchor to kindness, nor to patience, nor to sacrifice. It anchors to standards, the lines that do not shift under pressure. A man without standards is a man without gravity. And a man without gravity is replaced without memory. This video will strip away the lies you have carried and force you to face what truly commands her loyalty. We will break down 5 layers of psychology that turn your standards into the thing she cannot escape, 5 layers that explain why women fall in love with men who hold the line and why women lose respect for men who give it up. You will see that addiction in relationships is not born from pleasure. It is born from law. It is not the thrill of spoiling her that makes her stay. It is the unbreakable structure that makes her cling. And at the center of it all is the forbidden principle you were never taught, the binding standard, the final mark that brands your value into her mind as something she cannot erase. Ask yourself, how do you set standards without becoming controlling? Why do women respect standards more than sweet promises? What makes a line so addictive that she circles it like a planet around the sun? These are not surface-level tricks. This is not about controlling her through scripted lines or fake confidence. This is the structure of masculine psychology, the foundation of attraction that female desire cannot bypass. You have lived the opposite. You gave in until you broke. You gave until you were emptied. You erased yourself in the hope that she would notice you. Instead, she noticed nothing because there was nothing left to notice. You were replaced not because you lacked affection, but because you lacked law. She did not betray kindness. She simply followed gravity, and gravity was absent in you. What you are about to hear will not soothe you. It will not stroke your wounds. It will strike them. But in the cut, you will find clarity. For the first time, you will see why the men you envied, the men you called distant, arrogant, were the ones women obsessed over. They were not addicted to cruelty. They were addicted to certainty. And certainty is born only in standards. Stay through to the end because Part 5, the binding standard, will expose the final mechanism, the mark that transforms a mere line into an obsession. It is the reason some men become unforgettable while others are thrown away without thought. It is the reason women get addicted to men who hold the line. Do not blink. Do not comfort yourself with excuses. Let this be the beginning of your reckoning. Part 1, the center of standards. No center, no circle. Every force in the universe revolves around a center. Planets do not wander randomly. They cling to gravity. Stars do not scatter without form. They cluster around a center. Human desire is no different. A woman does not revolve around a man because he entertains her. She circles because he carries a fixed standard, a center that cannot be erased. Without that center, there is no circle. Without standards, there is no man. You have lived without this center. You bent your rules for her comfort. You gave up your direction for her approval. You traded your ground for her smile. But each giving in was not a gift. It was erosion. And erosion does not inspire circling. It inspires leaving. When your standards are invisible, she does not see a man. She sees a shadow. Shadows cannot anchor. Shadows cannot guide. Shadows cannot demand respect. They flicker. They fade. They disappear when the light shifts. And that is what you became, a silhouette she stepped over on her way to the next man. Standards are not about cruelty. They are about identity. They are the structure of masculine frame explained in its simplest form. Boundaries that say this is me. This is what I allow. This is what I refuse. Without them, you dissolve into shapelessness. And shapelessness cannot be loved. The center is not a performance. It is not a mask. It is not the fake toughness of raised voices or empty threats. The center is law lived quietly but immovably. It is the schedule you do not break for distraction. It is the word you do not bend for flattery. It is the refusal you uphold even when desire tempts you to surrender. That center is the only map her psychology can read. Without it, she cannot locate you. Think of the times you let her decide everything. When to meet, what to cancel, how to treat you. You told yourself this was generosity. You told yourself this was love. But in her mind it was chaos. Without center she felt drift. Without drift she felt no anchor. And so she left. Because a woman does not crave a partner she can move at will. She craves the immovable point she must move around. This is the first truth you must carve in. Attraction is not about spoiling. Attraction is about direction. A woman cannot direct around softness alone. She directs around firmness, around the center of standards that does not shift with her moods. Your life cannot circle her. Her life must circle the law you set. This is not arrogance. This is natural order. Just as planets circle the sun, not because the sun begs, but because the sun holds mass, she will circle you not because you demand, but because you refuse to be moved. And when you do not hold a center, she drifts. She wanders. She replaces you not out of hate, but out of need. Her mind cannot tolerate emptiness. It must find gravity somewhere. If not in you, then in another. That is why women get addicted to men who hold the line and forget men who give in. Your center is the only map she can read. It is not your words, not your gifts, not your devotion. It is the silent law you stand on. The invisible line that whispers, "Here I remain. Here you must circle or leave." But a center only matters if it resists pressure. Part 2, Pressure Tests Psychology. She doesn't test to destroy you. She tests to find you. Every woman carries an instinct older than language. It is not spoken, yet it governs her every move. She pushes against you, not because she hates you, but because she is searching for your edge. She challenges your word, not to break it, but to see if it can break. She presses on your boundaries, not because she wants them gone, but because she must know whether they exist at all. Her tests are not accidents. They are not moods. They are not random cruelty. They are the pulse of female psychology attraction, a constant checking for certainty. Where does this man stand? Does he have ground or is he just another shadow who bends the moment I lean? You've misunderstood these tests your whole life. You thought she was trying to sabotage the relationship. You thought she was ungrateful, cruel, unreasonable. So, you did what weak men do. You gave in to make the storm pass. You thought surrender would buy peace. But surrender never buys peace. It buys contempt. Each time you bent, she lost something vital. Not comfort. She lost safety. A man who cannot resist pressure is a man who cannot protect anything. And if he cannot protect his own line, how can he ever protect her trust, her body, her future? This is the mystery you must face. When she pushes, she is not seeking softness. She is seeking the wall. She is searching for the gravity she can lean on. She is asking in her own silent code, "Can you hold the line when I push? Can you stay unmoved when I test? Or will you collapse like every man who failed before you? Every test is an invitation to prove gravity. It is not an attack. It is a scan. Just as a ship presses against the harbor rope to make sure it holds, she presses against your standard to make sure it will not snap. If it holds, her nervous system relaxes. If it breaks, her body records the truth. This man is not safe, not steady, not worthy of investment. Think back to the fights you lost before they even began. She raised her voice and you folded. She questioned your decision and you rewrote it. She pouted and you apologized. In that moment, you thought you were buying love, but what you sold was your center. And without a center, she cannot circle. Without circling, she cannot attach. This is why women fall out of love with nice guys. It is not because kindness is wrong. It is because kindness without resistance is emptiness. She cannot feel desire where she feels no weight. She cannot respect a man who flinches at every test. Understand this. Her testing will never end. It is not a phase, not a season, not something you can avoid. It is built into her psychology as natural as breathing. She will push for as long as you stand. And if you stand firm, her respect deepens. If you collapse, her respect dies. So stop seeing her tests as war. See them as invitations. Each one is a doorway to show her your law. Each one is a chance to show that your gravity is not for sale. Every time you resist, she feels safer. Every time you give in, she drifts further. She is not looking for permission to lead. She is looking for proof that you are a leader already. Do not fear her pressure. Fear your own collapse. For it is not her test that ruins you. It is your failure to hold the line. But gravity is not just refusal. It is the language of consequence. Part 3, the language of consequence. What you allow, you teach. Every standard you claim is nothing but air until it is tied to consequence. A boundary without consequence is not a boundary. It is a wish. A rule without consequence is not law. It is noise. You can repeat a line 1,000 times. I won't tolerate disrespect. I won't accept neglect. I won't be replaced. But if there is no cost when that line is crossed, she learns the real truth. Your standard is a lie. Women get addicted to men not because of words, but because of law. Law lives in consequence. It is the weight that makes a line undeniable. Without weight, your standards collapse into performance. And performance is always exposed. Understand this. She is not offended by consequence. She is anchored by it. When you enforce a line with real cost, she does not see cruelty. She sees reality. Reality is rare in relationships because most men fear it. They prefer illusions, hoping devotion will grow without structure, hoping love will survive without gravity. But love without consequence is a stage play, and stage plays always end. Think of the times you spoke but did not act. You said, I won't forgive this again. Yet you forgave. You said, this is the last time. Yet you gave her another chance. Each time you erased the consequence, you erased your own believability. What did she learn? Not that you were kind. Not that you were loyal. She learned that your word meant nothing. And when a man's word means nothing, his presence means nothing. Consequence is the translation of your law. It is how the invisible becomes visible. It is how your unseen standard becomes a force she cannot ignore. She does not respect your declarations. She respects the cost attached to them. She does not feel safe with your promises. She feels safe with your enforcement. When you connect consequence to your standard, you create a structure she can trust. And trust is not built through spoiling. It is built through enforcement. Imagine a city without laws, only slogans. Promises of order, but no punishment for crime. Would you feel safe in its streets? That is how she feels with a man who speaks of standards but never enforces them. He is a city of slogans, a hollow authority, a voice with no teeth. But when you enforce consequence, even silently, the entire atmosphere shifts. You do not need anger. You do not need volume. You do not need threats. You need only action, distance, silence, removal of privilege, refusal to engage until respect is restored. She will feel the truth immediately. This man does not negotiate with his own law. Do not mistake this for punishment. Punishment seeks revenge. Consequence communicates reality. The difference is everything. Punishment says, "You hurt me. Now I hurt you." Consequence says, "You crossed the line." Therefore, this outcome follows. She may resist it, argue with it, hate it in the moment, but her mind records the deeper truth. This man is real. His words are alive. His law is not theater. Without consequence, your standards rot into suggestion. With consequence, your standards become structure. And structure is what the female mind craves. It gives her the framework within which desire can grow. Every spoiling you gave in the past was not generosity. It was betrayal of yourself. Every erased consequence was not mercy. It was the collapse of your law. And she felt it. She lost respect not because you were kind, but because your kindness was spineless. Consequence is not cruelty. It is clarity. And clarity is the rarest gift you can give her. And when consequence is steady, something else awakens. Respect. Part 4, Respect before desire. Respect is the seed. Desire is the flower. You have been taught the reverse. You believed desire would create respect. You believed if she wanted you enough, respect would follow naturally. But female psychology does not work that way. Respect always comes before desire. A woman cannot keep passion for a man she does not respect. She can sleep with him. She can play with him. She can use him. But she cannot remain devoted to him. And devotion is what you crave, though you disguised it as love. Respect is the start of obsession. Without it, desire flickers and dies. With it, desire becomes self-feeding, impossible to put out. A woman does not fall into obsession because you pleased her. She falls when she feels the weight of your law. She invests her emotions, her body, her loyalty only when she senses you are a man who cannot be bent. This is the reality most men refuse to face. She did not leave you because you lacked affection. She left you because she lacked respect. You believed sacrifice was the highest gift. You thought bending to her every mood would prove love. But love does not grow in the soil of submission. It grows in the soil of standards. When she meets a man who carries law, something shifts in her. Her mind stops wandering. Her body stops looking for alternatives. She begins to invest. Not because you demanded, but because you stood. The presence of boundaries tells her, this man will not betray himself. This man has weight. This man is safe to surrender to. Respect becomes the foundation upon which attraction can bloom. Think about your own past. The women you obsessed over were not the ones who gave in easily. They were the ones who held lines you could not cross. They had a center you could not bend. You respected them even when you hated their refusals. And that respect kept your desire alive. The same law applies in reverse. Without respect, she cannot see you as man. She may laugh with you. She may use you. She may even enjoy you for a time. But her desire will rot. She cannot give herself to what she cannot respect. And this is why the nice guy dies in every love story. His endless devotion, his constant availability, his erasing of self, these do not inspire passion. They inspire contempt. Respect does not come from aggression. It does not come from domination. It does not come from fear. Respect is born from your refusal to collapse, from your willingness to carry consequence, from your immovable center that says, "This is the line. Cross it." And reality follows. When she feels that law, her psychology shifts. She may protest in the moment, but her deeper mind relaxes. It knows you are not a shadow. It knows you can hold. And that safety awakens the very desire you were chasing in vain. Passion becomes natural, not manufactured. Obsession becomes inevitable, not forced. Respect before desire. This is the law you must carry. Every attempt to reverse it will fail. If you chase desire first, you will always lose both. If you anchor respect first, desire will bloom on its own. Your task is not to make her want you. Your task is to make her respect you. For where respect stands, desire kneels. Where respect is absent, desire evaporates. Respect is the seed. Desire is the flower. Without the seed, the flower cannot live. But respect alone is not enough. The final mark comes when standard becomes unbreakable law. Part 5, the binding standard. An unbreakable line becomes structure. Every boundary before this was a test. Every standard you carried until now was a lesson. But this is the final mark. The moment your line stops being negotiable and becomes law. At this point, you are no longer a man explaining himself. You are no longer pleading for respect. You are structure. You are framework. And framework cannot be begged, cannot be bargained, cannot be seduced into movement. It simply stands. When a woman meets an unbreakable line, her mind shifts. It records the truth like stone. This man cannot be moved. This man is real. And once that mark is made, it becomes permanent. She may argue with you. She may resist you. She may even hate you in flashes of emotion. But beneath all that noise, her deeper self circles what she cannot destroy. This is the secret most men never reach. They build standards but sabotage them with loopholes. They speak of law but leave windows for compromise. They enforce boundaries but only until loneliness tempts them back. And so their lines never become structure. They remain suggestions, vulnerable to erosion. But the binding standard is different. It is not a speech. It is not a performance. It is a reality that cannot be erased no matter how much pressure she applies. This is where addiction is born. Because the female mind is wired to anchor to permanence. She does not crave endless choice. Choice exhausts her. She craves certainty. And certainty lives only in the man whose line cannot be bent. Every time she touches the boundary and feels it holds, something deeper locks inside her. She does not hear no. She hears the echo of value beyond negotiation. She feels the presence of law greater than her moods. And that law brands itself into her nervous system. This man is the center. This man is the standard. This man is the gravity I must circle. Your line is the brand she cannot erase. Gifts can be forgotten. Words can be dismissed. Even passion can fade. But a line that holds becomes identity. It becomes the way she remembers you, the way she explains you, the way she obsesses over you. This is why men who enforce unbreakable standards become unforgettable. Not because they were the most loving, not because they were the most handsome, not because they were the most charming, but because they carried structure inside them. Women do not abandon structure. They return to it. Even if they walk away, the mark drags them back in memory, in regret, in obsession. You must decide if you will ever carry this, because once you do, you cannot retreat. The binding standard is not part-time. It is not seasonal. It is not convenient. It is permanent law written into your behavior, lived in every interaction. The weak man cannot carry it, He fears rejection too much. He fears loneliness too much. He fears losing her more than losing himself. And so he bends. He bargains. He erases his own line. And in doing so, he erases himself. But the man who holds the binding standard becomes more than a partner. He becomes the center of her psychological circle. He is not simply desired. He is marked. He is not simply loved. He is branded into her perception of reality. An unbreakable line becomes structure. And structure is what endures when emotion fades. When newness dies, when beauty shifts. It is what chains her obsession long after the thrill of attraction has passed. And that leads us to the final reckoning. You were never replaced because you gave too little. You were replaced because you gave without law. You poured yourself out like water, hoping devotion would bloom. But water without container becomes a puddle. It spills. It vanishes. And that is how you vanished in her eyes. Because you refused to hold the line. The moment you carry law, everything changes. The moment you enforce a line, she no longer measures you by convenience. She no longer calculates your worth by how much you bend, how much you endure, how much you erase yourself. She begins to circle what she cannot bend. She begins to respect what she cannot buy. She begins to obsess over what she cannot move. This is the reversal you have avoided your entire life. You thought sacrifice made you noble. You thought spoiling made you impossible to replace. You thought patience proved love. But spoiling is not noble. It is disposable. Patience without law is not respect. It is exploitation. Sacrifice without standard is not romance. It is erasing. You feared that saying no would make her leave. You feared that holding a line would push her away. But the truth is harsh. Women leave not because you held the line, but because you never had one. They circle men who carry law. Because law creates gravity. And gravity is the only language desire can trust. Look back on the men you envied. The ones women obsessed over. The ones who seemed untouchable. It was never tricks, never words, never performance. It was the quiet structure of standards. They did not beg. They did not bend. They did not bargain. They carried law. And women circle law. Now the choice is yours. You can continue whispering for respect, bending for scraps of affection, begging to be noticed, or you can stand. You can hold the line. You can carry the center that forces her to recognize. This man is not an option. This man is a standard. Do not confuse this with control. Do not confuse this with cruelty. This is not domination. It is direction. Without your line, she cannot find you. With your line, she cannot forget you. This is the final payoff. Women never stay addicted to men who bend. They get addicted to men who draw a line and hold it. Now, listen carefully because everything you built here can be destroyed in a single moment of weakness. Standards take time to forge, but they can be erased overnight. One apology too soon, one compromise too soft, one delay too long, and the center collapses. That is why in the next video you will see the full truth. Boundary killers. 7 mistakes that erase your standards overnight. You will learn why a single misplaced word, a single late text, or a single giving in can break down everything you built. You will learn how men lose their gravity without realizing it, and how to stop yourself from joining their ranks. Don't miss it, because every second you spend blind to these mistakes is a second you risk erasing the law you just forged. And now the closing law. Don't beg for respect. Don't whisper for worth. Don't bend for crumbs of love.